Are we ready to kick it off?
Yes, the recording started.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and start with roll call.
And I can do that for you. What time is it? 12:05 is when we started the meeting. All right, Commissioner Cuddy-Eye? Commissioner Curley? I don't see her either. And then Commissioner Toya? Commissioner Lance? Commissioner Hosky?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Kai Batoni? Commissioner Marks?
Here.
And Commissioner Marshall?
Here.
And Commissioner Zavala?
Here.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're going to send it to Commissioner Hosky for the land acknowledgement, please.
The Flagstaff City Council humbly acknowledges the ancestral homes of this area's Indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by Native descendants, border a mountain sacred to Indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home.
Thank you, Commissioner Hosky. And it looks like we've got a few other members on. Darren Lance, who I think I saw somebody else. Is it just Darren? And I saw Curly come in and out, but I just wanted to make note of public comment. At this time, any member of the public may address the commission on any subject within their jurisdiction that is not scheduled before the commission on that day. Due to open meeting laws, the commission cannot discuss or act on items presented during this portion of the agenda. To address the commission on an item that is on the agenda, please wait for the chair to call for public comment at the time the item is heard. Is there any member of the public wanting to address the commission on any subjects? Okay, we'll move to the approval of minutes, approval of June 5th, 2024 minutes. If I could get 2 notions, please.
A motion.
All right, Darren Lance first. Can I get a second, please?
I motion for a second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hosky. And now we will move on to general.
Mariah, Commissioner, can you do a vote? A vote?
Oh, yeah. Vote to approve. I'll say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it's passed.
Okay. Should I hand it off to you in this section, Ms. Rose, to introduce our new chief?
And I'm just going to hand it over to Chief. Welcome, Chief Sean Connolly. We are happy to have you here today. And I'd like for you to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll have our members introduce themselves to you. And then we'll go ahead and give you a little bit of time to just talk about whatever's on your mind for now. All right, thank you.
Wonderful, Rose. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Patrick Conley, and I'm just so honored to be your police chief. In the brief time that I've been here, the graciousness and the humanity of this community, this city, and this police department has been unbelievable. So thanks for having me in this special place, and I look forward to connecting with you further.
Thank you, Chief. Can everybody go ahead and give a quick introduction to our chief, and then if you have any questions, you can also do that as well. I'm going to give us maybe about a little under 10 minutes to do that, so we can go ahead and move on with the rest of our agenda. Co-Chair Lance, can you go ahead and start? Would you go ahead and start?
Okay, how you doing? I'm Commissioner Darren Lance. I'm a local Flagstaff resident. I own and operate Darren Lance Electric. I own and operate also Indigenous Plumbing Company and All-in-One Builders. Been a resident most of my life, attended high school, junior high here, and just being a member of the community here, just wanted to see what the Indigenous community meeting was about. And yeah, it's very being a part of the committee helps me to understand, the things that are happening in Flagstaff with the Indigenous community, and just brings a lot of awareness that I like to understand what's going on here. I would like to touch on how you led the Kelly Padichowski homicide case. She's a friend of mine. And I've known her for 10 years, her and her family, and I really appreciate the way you guys have handled yourself, conducted the investigation, and taking care of everything that you have, with the briefings and everything like that. Very informative, and you guys did a great job. I appreciate you, and very proud to have the Flagstaff Police Department protecting us. Thank you.
Honored to meet you, sir, and humbled by your words. And yeah, I'm grateful to get to know you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Zavala, can you go next, please?
Yeah, good afternoon. Leo Sanchan Niabu. Greetings in Yoame. I'm Yaqui, Oaxacan, and Puerto Rican. Excited to meet you, Chief Connolly. Congratulations on getting elected, and welcome to the Flagstaff community. We are very thankful for the work you and your team have already done. And condolences to you, Darren. I did not get to know Kelly formally that way or anything, but it was a big blow to our Flagstaff community. So we're grateful to have some closure for that. I am the business development specialist at Mountain Mojo Group, a local marketing firm here in Flagstaff. I've been a resident here for about 5 years, grew up in Tucson, Arizona, from Fresno, California. My tribe's in Tucson. So if you're familiar with that area, it's Casino del Sol, how I like to refer to it. I wear a lot of different hats in the community. I've been very honored to be with the commission for over a year now and work closely with Rose, Darren, and a lot of people here on this commission. I'm a board member for Girls on the Run of Northern Arizona, and do things with the chamber and just a lot about community development. So I'm really excited to be here and help make sure that our community is voiced and heard, and being part of collaborative efforts for our youth, for our elders, and just for all of us, so we can be a cohesive unit to thrive and live and all those good things.
Wonderful. Great to meet you. I'm from Tucson too, and so it's good to meet you.
I thought you were coming home, Chief.
Well, I was born here, so I'll preface that. So I have a little bit of roots, but I went to high school and down in Tucson. I'm a Rincon Ranger, and so yeah, spread myself around the state.
Thank you. Commissioner Hosky, can you go next, please?
Hello, my name is Kimberly Hosky. Welcome to, or re-welcome yourself, I guess, to Flagstaff. I was also born and raised in this area. I grew up here in Flagstaff as well, and left for quite a few years to move to Seattle and explore, grow up. And then I came back, had a kid, and yeah, now I'm back again. So it's really nice to be a part of the Indigenous community commission, I'm sorry, because now I can actually see more of what's going on that I didn't see when I was a kid, since everything was always on the reservation. So this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm glad to have met you. So if I see you on the street, my daughter will probably be waving at you. She likes to wave at all the police officers. Awesome. And happy police when they come into town. But yeah, Darren, I'm sorry for your loss. And my daughter actually went to the Montessori school, so that has hit us as well. So it definitely is. It's amazing how big of an impact she had on all of us. But thank you for being here, and I look forward to hearing more about you and everything Flagstaff has to offer for you.
Great to meet you.
And I think also Kimberly, she's very modest, but she's also a student of law.
Awesome. Love our lawyers.
And then Commissioner Curley, please go next.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Linda Curley. I live in Tonalea, Arizona, and work in Tuba City. I've been on this commission since March, I believe. Good to meet you. Thank you.
Wonderful to meet you.
And then Commissioner Marshall.
Hi, this is Commissioner Marshall. I'm an enrolled member of the Havasupai tribe, and I've lived here in Flagstaff for around 15 years. Welcome back to Flagstaff, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And then Commissioner Marks. Commissioner Marks, can you hear us? I don't know if he can hear us, but we also have a community member here. Okay, Commissioner Cudia, would you introduce yourself to Chief, please? Can you hear me?
Oh, no, I need to unmute. Hello, I met Mr. Conley a couple weeks ago at the Aquaplex. So my name is Diana Kariai. I am a member volunteer since it's been like, what, 4 or 5 years. And I live in Flagstaff over about 25 years now. I'm originally from New Mexico, and I'm retired from the oral health professional and an oral researcher with the University of Colorado, Denver. That's it.
Nice to see you again. And I think you said you were going to take me out on a long run and smoke me. So.
Anytime.
Nice to meet you again.
Mr. Marks.
Yat she nast eshetapado na kaidana bashchin, kitlachini dasha che ado ashi dashanella. My name is Daryl Marks. I am White Corn Zuni Edgewater born for those going home. Maternal grandparents Red House, paternal grandparents are Salt. I'm originally from the community of Tonalea, but I've been living here in Flagstaff with my family for almost 15 years now, I think. And much like Mariah, active member of this community, try to do as much as I can to bring about a better living condition situation environment for Indigenous people, and looking forward to working with you rather than against you. So
nice to meet you, sir.
Awesome. We also have a community member, Meg Kabodi. Adikai, would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Meg Kabodi Adikai. Hi, Mariah. And I have lived in Flagstaff my entire life. I was born and raised here. I'm a member of the Hopi tribe, and I'm the president of Indigenous Circle of Flagstaff. I was on the commission for this one also, but not at this time. I'm on the Indigenous Peoples Advisory Council for Coconino County, and about that. And I run a local market here in town called Flagstaff Mountain Town Market. I work at many different schools, including Kinlani Bordertown Dormitory. And I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, thank you, everybody. And then, I don't know if you know our staff members already, Amy Hagan and Rebecca Sayers.
Yep, I do.
Okay, and
Hi,
then
Chief.
Good to
yeah.
see everybody.
And then we
Outside
also
of a
have,
council meeting or something like that, it's always good to see you somewhere else.
awesome. And then we also have with us our council member liaison, Lori Matthews. Right. Thank you so much, Chief. I really appreciate your time here. And then you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to also go if you want. But this is the Indigenous Commission that, you know, you're going to be maybe making contact with, you know, from time to time. And maybe at some point you'll have more information on how, you know, what the future looks like with your administration. So just wanted to just extend the invitation that you're welcome to come and speak to our commission at any time.
Love it. I appreciate it. You know, if I can I share a little bit about myself, since just to create some context? I believe
Sure.
this. I believe in a philosophy in life of connecting before we convince or have conversations about things. And so a little bit about me, life is a circle. I was born here a few years ago, and my mom's family in the 50s moved from Nebraska to here. And at the same time, 4 Irish families are moving to the city projects in Phoenix. In that time, the Irish were kind of treated as a separate class of immigrants. And so I have a perspective that's I think is kind of interesting. But bottom line is my dad goes to the Vietnam War in 1966, comes home, and I don't think he would have been able to afford college if it not for the GI Bill. And he walks in, so he's going to NAU, and he walks into this Dairy Queen on Milton that's been there for 80 years serving ice cream. And he meets a young lady in there serving ice cream at 8, who's 18. That's my mom. They fall in love. I'm the byproduct of that love. So I was born here, and then we moved down to Tucson, where I grew up. I went to the University of Arizona. Bear down if there's any. We got to circle the wagons around U of A grads, and had the opportunity to go to school down there, and then work for another department south of here. I won't say the P word. It's my promise for people in Flagstaff. But they were able to afford me an education and a master's degree through NAU. And I'm just so honored to be here. I think as we get to know each other, and the greatest thing we do is have empathy, and be able to put ourselves in each other's shoes and wear each other's glasses at times. And there's no more important time in the business of law enforcement that we are emotionally intelligent. What I mean by that is the ability to self-regulate, self-assess, and then see through each other's eyes. And so I look forward to coming up with some innovative ideas on how we shift and share responsibility. I know there's so many social determinants of health that impact our communities, and for too many years, the solutions for those have been incarceration. And I think as we collectively work together, Rose and I have already had some good conversations on some things. I look really forward to getting upstream with everybody on what causes members of our community to be involved in crime or disorder that results in incarceration. And my experience in some communities of great need is that when we really work collectively upstream on some of those things, we can avoid handcuffs, and we can avoid incarceration. And so I know the communities you represent are unique. And I respect that uniqueness and then the beauty of them. And so I look forward to it. One of the things I had mentioned to Rose was, you know, I'm used to having a place where everybody has a unique voice with the chief and or the organization. And so I want to propose and then just wrap our brains around what it would look like to have an Indigenous Peoples Police Chief Advisory Board. I know we have some other boards that go on, and that's really important. But I think having a streamlined, unique voice for your own interest is really important for this police department. We can talk about that further up the road, and you can wrap your brains around what that would look like. But so honored to be here. That's a little bit about me and my perspective on some things. And you'll be hearing a little bit of our vision moving forward as we wrap around a crime plan. Public safety is a priority in my job, but I want to do it intelligently. We will have great policy, great training, systems of accountability, and wellness. It's important that our members are well before they go out and serve. So look forward to everybody's experience and wisdom. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Let's see, there's, Commissioner Zavala, do you want to hand it over to Commissioner Lance now, or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, we can send it over to Commissioner Lance.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry. Caught me off guard there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move forward with general business. Item B, brief update on Indigenous Community Cultural Center. Amy Hagan Zitpros, Assistant Parks and Recreation Director, will provide a brief update on the status of the ICCC and procurement process.
Thank you, Commissioner Lance. Amy Hagan, everyone, the Assistant Parks and Recreation Director within PROS, Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Events. Thank you for the time today. So a brief update, the facility assessment was performed when we met last on site, and that may have been one meeting ago, I think, as far as the Indigenous Commission meetings have flowed, where majority of the commissioners got to see the inside of the facility itself. So this will make sense when the facility assessment, as it has come back from a professional service that's taking a look at structural integrity of the building, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, any other environmental issues or concerns, accessibility as far as that is considered to access, ingress, and egress into the building, and the roof. Basically the structure itself, so if we could say the four walls, structurally intact and has complete integrity. The roof has complete integrity. What needs to be performed on the building would be full mechanical, electrical, plumbing. That would include a fire suppression system, because this building, any rehab of it would need to meet current International Building Code, International Fire Codes, and there would need to be some accessibility work done as far as ingress and egress into the building. So really nothing glaring other than what was honestly expected, especially for those of you that have been able to experience the inside of the building. So we now have that facility assessment intact. So Rose, myself, and a few other city staff are creating some meetings. It can be difficult to get all of us within the same hour or 2 hours of a week, but we have been creating some meetings where we can start to discuss a scope of work and procurement procedures and what will those resemble. We had our first meeting on Monday, just this past Monday, including with our procurement coworkers at the City of Flagstaff, and we have 1 or 2 more meetings. So we're still in sort of the infant stages, if you will, of what the actual procurement will resemble for this project for the future Indigenous Community Cultural Center. If there's any questions, and Rose, feel free to jump in, or if there's any questions, I'm sure Rose can certainly help answer.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start with some of the things that we've been talking about in the last couple of days, actually, when we actually met, and trying to see how we can move the procurement process regarding the ICCC. And so some of the things that I know that this commission, as well as community members, have been hearing about has been the RFP process. And before I get into that, I wanted to go over a little bit about some developments that have happened, I guess, in the last month or so. So we were well, actually, the Mayor's Institute on City Design from Albuquerque reached out to us, and actually to Mayor, and wanted to know if there were some projects that they were able to do a case study on, and how that is kind of like a competition, I guess you could say, about some case studies and projects that the city can put forward. And there are like I believe six other people that are in conjunction in including the city of Flagstaff that we're going to put projects forward. And so they came out, or one person came out and wanted to know more about these projects. So what staff did was, in collaboration and guidance with Mayor, we put forward 3 projects, and one was the Indigenous Community Cultural Center. The other one was Sunnyside Community Plan, and then also the other one was Hospital Hill. So out of those 3 projects, the group that went back, where the person went back with all the information that we presented to him, and then he went back to Albuquerque and talked about the projects that they heard about. And so with ours, the Indigenous Community Cultural Center was the one that was picked by that group. And so this project moves on, and they're going to have a meeting in September that Mayor has to go to, somewhere between September 4th and September 7th. And they will again, and by that time, there's no more competition. It's like 6 or 7 projects that are going to be talked about. And some professional people are going to be there to provide recommendations, and hopefully will link us to some funding as well. And so there's where we're thinking that we might be able to leverage some insight as to how some of these expert personnel groups are going to be able to give us on how to move forward with the Indigenous Community Cultural Center. And I don't know exactly the depth or the breadth of what kind of experts are going to be presenting to Mayor on the recommendations that they're going to give. And hopefully some of it will be linkages to some funding, is what we're hoping. So that's one piece of it. So with this in mind, there's some things that we want to also express, is that I was saying that the RFP process is one of the things that we have come back with as far as a talking point. That's for a request for proposals. And that is really a formal bid, which I'm just reading off here, my definition here. And that's a formal bid to describe a project or business need and invite suppliers to submit proposals. A more detailed document is used for a specific project or problem. So that's what really kind of the gist of the RFP is. And I'm very kind of limited in some of this information. So Amy and Rebecca are here to help me with this. Councilmember Matthews, do you have a question right now, or?
Just really quick, and before I forget, what was the name? The Mayor Institute of what? The group that's chose our ICCC.
Okay, let me check. The person who came out, he was director of SNC. I don't know what the acronym is, but Amy, do you remember where he was from, or what exactly he was
I
representing?
do, and I'm pulling it up. So he was out of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Let me try and pull up what the acronym stands for. So, and as Rose said, we had the 3 case study or 3 projects, if you will, that were presented, and the future ICCC was selected, which was an amazing thing to hear. We heard that from Mayor Daggett on June 17th. And like Rose said, it does then lead to a early September, I believe, like toward that first week of September through 7th through the 9th, I believe, where Mayor Daggett is to attend kind of a consortium or a meeting in Albuquerque with these 6 other cities or locations that have also been selected, where there'll be a group of individuals to assist with whether if it's architecture, engineering, possibly some funding or grant writing ideas, or who knows what. We really, as Rose said, don't know the extent of what will be offered to us or any type of assistance. So let me try and see if I can find what MICD stands for, and I'll place it in the chat while Rose keeps chatting away.
And just real
that-
quick, Rose, and what Amy said. So, and I missed what Amy said earlier. I had a call come in, but the funding then would be perhaps in partnership with the city to prepare the building for occupancy, because we don't have a organization yet that has won the RFP to actually run the cultural center, correct? I was just confused on what the funding would be for, if there's some out there. That makes
Amy,
sense.
Do you want me to answer that, Rose?
yeah,
Councilmember
Yes.
Matthews, we do not, the city of Flagstaff has minor funding, minor dollars. The Division Pros has $200,000 that became available on July 1st toward future mitigation of the site. That's not going to get us very far. So there is no funding source identified to rehab the future ICCC. I think that a part of this mayoral group and this project being identified to talk about it with other networks that may have ideas on where we could go locate funding. That is one outlet that we might receive an outcome on in early September with Mayor Daggett attending this meeting.
And that was my question. So they might be able to identify additional funding, but again, that would be to the city, correct? Because
Correct.
okay, that was the clarification I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's called the Mayor's Institute of City Design. That's MICD. And then the person that represented that came out here is MASS. That's MASS. I'm not really sure what that stands for, but this is the recommendation that was given as far as one of the reply back. It is, I'll just read it to you. Case study recommendation, Project 1 in Indigenous Community Cultural Center. The goal is to redevelop the old public works facility built in 1947 into a place of gathering for tribal nations and tribal community. Why we think this would be a good fit for the bridging boundaries session. The proposed ICCC focuses on establishing a formal Indigenous presence in the city of Flagstaff, which will support the dialogue between the participants in the MICD session around cultural and support infrastructure for Indigenous communities. The project is at a good place in its development to receive feedback. There are key design decisions that have not yet been defined, but could benefit from the could benefit from the expertise of the participating resource team members. The city has site control for the development, which will enable it to move forward with the project more effectively following the session. This project also has the potential to connect to a number of the themes of the session, including entrepreneurship, food security, and public health. So those are some of the recommendations that we're working with as far as wellness and traditional knowledge and those kinds of things. So I think that's why they accepted this, is because we're in a good place to move forward with a lot of the things that they care about. this group that we presented to. So that brings us back to some of the things that we had already talked about, which is the RFP process. The other terms that I have come to know a little bit more about is the RSOQ, which is Request for Statement of Qualifications. And that is to solicit, it's soliciting to receive statements describing the qualification of bidders or proposers with respect to specified criteria or performance measures for a procurement item. The other one is RFI, which is a request for information. And that's really to gather information about potential solutions and vendors and learning more about what's available and narrow down according to the need. So I'm thinking, which I might be wrong, this is more about contracting, possibly as far as contractors, building and renovation type things. That's what I'm thinking it might be about. So it's really something that the city we still have to see which would be best for us to do. I think some of the things that coming from an Indigenous community and being on staff with here at the city is really about identifying a partner through one of these ways, whatever is best for flexibility. And then together, the partner and the city can work together to identify other funding to start working on the renovations and remodel. Maybe starting with the West Side space. And that is really about locating whether or not, when we last had the lead and asbestos testing having been performed. And then the rest of the building could be maybe off limits until it can be renovated, or at least it's safe and compliant to be utilized. So some of the discussions are like that we've had in the past couple of days. So, and then based on the acquired funding or available funds, an RFI can maybe be utilized. And that could be something that the expertise that would be coming from the mayor's meeting in September. So that's an unknown right now, but something we can probably tap into. So, and then for me not knowing enough about an RFP process and how specific it has to be, maybe there's that possibility of having that come later on. So I think it's just important that the city has not had a situation really specifically like we have with the ICCC right now. Is what we really need are you as commissioners, but also as community members to know more about, because we need to be kind of like have it be broader informed so that we're also have some flexibility. And I'm hoping that I'm kind of on the right track in explaining this. And I am hoping that Amy and Rebecca can also jump in as well. Thank you.
Hi, Amy. This is Commissioner Lance. I got a question. The $200,000 that you're talking about, are you guys foreseeing that being able to be able to get plans drawn up? I don't know how all the RFP and RFI and everything like that lays out, but I'm thinking, like, I know that a lot of the budgets and all that kind of stuff gotta stem from that original plan. And then is there already plans in place of, like, maybe some of those larger rooms being separated into smaller rooms, maybe taking bigger ones into smaller ones, or is there plans about that, or are you guys thinking that money is going to be able to stretch that far to at least get plans drawn up, would you think?
Great question, Commissioner Lance. I think the 200,000 could be an ideal funding source to create construction drawings, because those construction drawings are going to need to go from conceptual stage all the way through actual full construction drawings with engineer and architecture, plus heritage preservation involved, since this is a historic building. Another piece that we do know needs to be done on the building would be new windows, because they're original windows and certainly not going to meet anything as far as the International Building Code at this time. So that could certainly be an ideal way to program that $200,000. I think before we even get into that, however, we would need architect engineer on board. Obviously that cost to perform that type of their professional services. And that's where it's going to help after that September meeting that the mayor is holding, because maybe there is an architect and engineering firm or some type of partnership that we can identify from that meeting that would be a great resource to identify this $200,000 for. I do think the Indigenous Commission can certainly have a substantial voice in how that $200,000 is spent for specifically for this project. If the commission recalls this past fiscal year for the city of Flagstaff, so the funds that just ended on June 30th, Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Events, we had $100,000. And gosh, maybe 70,000 of that has been expended, and that's between the fence coming down, the perimeter fence, dealing with the IT infrastructure, since that IT infrastructure feeds a handful of city buildings, including over here at Thorpe Park, and also includes, gosh, I'm blanking on, this facility assessment that was performed. So there's still about maybe roughly $30,000 left over from that balance that is also available to us. As we start to go through this process, if that is how the Indigenous Commission agrees and aligns that some of these funds should be utilized toward or earmarked for, because construction drawings of a building of that size are going to cost quite a bit to create and to have for then contractors to physically bid on something. So that could be a great resource for that, because after we perform the IT infrastructure relocation, I really would be looking toward whatever type of procurement process that may or may not have occurred or results from this mayoral meeting in September to honestly provide a guidebook on here's how to spend the funds that we do have and toward the future, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a little bit of clarification there. I just know that a lot of the construction projects are based off of those plans, to get moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, we would need a full construction drawing set to perform any construction, because it also would need to be permitted through the city of Flagstaff and our chief building officials department, as well as inspected.
Looks like Commissioner Matthews has a question. She has her hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Lance. Amy, just to clarify though, because we don't know yet who will occupy the building and what their plans are, would the construction plans be more of just a shell to get the shell up to code, the windows and stuff? Because the build out internally, there's been talks about large meeting halls or basketball courts and offices. I mean, a lot of different things. And so we wouldn't really know what to build out yet, but the basic structure, the windows, the shell of it, I could see us moving forward with those architectural plans and construction plans. Am I correct in that?
That could be an option, Councilmember Matthews, and I would agree, because something like that then would at least provide construction drawings, a bidding document for contractors to take the building from as it exists today to essentially a building with full HVAC, electrical, plumbing, fire suppression system, and drywall and lighting. So it wouldn't be those interior finishes, just like you were mentioning, Commissioner Lance, because we're not sure how the future user of the recreation of the center will want the layout of it. We have that western side where we met physically a few months ago. And then there's the main rectangle, if you will, of the space. And then there's the northern side that is literally a framed storage unit with overhead doors. So it does not entail any plumbing or electrical or HVAC. So yeah, that's one option. I want to go back to an important piece of your question, Councilmember Matthews, was we don't know how this space will be used. 100% correct. And that was why in our meeting this past Monday, in talking about this with procurement and some other city staff, we talked about, do we perform, as Rose alluded to, a statement of qualifications? Because that might help us identify a partner that can assist with the plan that will occupy the space and perform the programming and the offerings at the center, but then they are part of the planning of it. So that way we have that group, whatever the group resembles, we have that partnership on board. So that way, I think it makes that planning aspect of it much cleaner and simpler. That would be ideal. And we're still talking through some of those processes and how can we fit this in. Just to be transparent, it's not a typical process that the city of Flagstaff has gone through before. So we don't have an exact, we're basically, what's the saying? I believe we're pounding in round pegs into square holes.
Right.
So we're working through that and trying to figure out what procurement processes do we have available to us and how can we package this so that it is just as smooth as possible.
And one last question, Amy, if
Mhm.
it's all right with Commissioner Lance. So on the RSOQ, I'm assuming that's the acronym that this would fall into my question. An organization that has an interest in developing the cultural center. I'm thinking just in my nonprofit experience, and putting that hat on for right now. Are there stated qualifications? Clearly, we don't want an organization coming in that maybe is a startup or doesn't have backing, or because they're responsible for the renting of the building to maintenance and everything else. Is there financial requirements or history and experience or anything like that?
Like what does that statement of qualifications entail kind of thing?
Right. Yeah.
We're not 100% sure just yet. And so hear you loud and clear on that. And I know Rose does too. So that was, we have a meeting, gosh, is it next week, Rose? It might be with additional staff. And we're trying to fast track this fast enough to get some of those answers because we do feel like there's plenty of unknowns, and to ensure that we're talking with all of the proper coworkers within the city of Flagstaff. So that way if it is a statement of qualifications that goes out to find that interested partner. We're not sure if that means an invested partner. I see those two action verbs quite different, right? When there's the interested partner in wanting to be the occupant, if you will, of the space and provide the programming and the education and the activities that would occur on site, versus an invested partner very well might likely be if there's someone, we need to find someone with some deep pockets, right? Or we need to find grant opportunities or donation opportunities or funding sources. So we're trying to work through all of those pieces of this and see, can we break this out so that there's certain pieces of it through the procurement process that meets that need, and then we go on to then we have that partner on board and we go on to the next process of this. I think we have a handful of steps before we're at a point of construction on site.
Thank you.
So I got a quick question. So what I'm hearing is that the city of Flagstaff is not the one who's going to be putting all the efforts into the ICCC. It's going to be an external company, commission, or whatever, just something else that's going to come in and do every other thing inside of the ICCC. Is that correct?
Rose, I think that's for you.
No, well, no, well, let me explain it this way. The ICCC will have a partner, a partner will be identified. Let's say that you are XYZ nonprofit. So, and if you were the one that was appointed or selected to be the partner to the city to oversee the programming and the management of the ICCC, then that's the way it will be. You'll be in a partnership with the city to come up with funds to take care of the building and whatever occurs outside, those kinds of things. The city will still have I guess, the control and ownership of the property. We're just going to be, the partner will only be responsible for whatever the ICCC will stand for in programming and, reaching out to community members and those kinds of things. Right now, as far as I know, the ICCC will be a platform for sharing and be an educational platform for the community, for Indigenous community, but also for the greater community.
Okay, great. Thank you. Explains a lot.
And I have one more question for Amy, if that's okay. So what is the step or the involvement that the Indigenous Commission will take in this? Are you just keeping us informed? Or what, is there something we need to do to keep this moving forward?
For my role, Councilmember Matthews, I think it's to keep the Indigenous Commission informed step by step as I can, as there are any updates or changes. Some of that might be more, I honestly cannot answer some of that question. I need Rose to regarding what the Indigenous Commission's role will be in this. I would be grateful if the Indigenous Commission would like an advocacy role as far as the funds that we do have, as far as the $200,000 and how to expend those appropriately in moving the project forward. I do think that is appropriate. But anything else on that, I would need Rose's input on that regarding the commission.
Okay, thanks, Amy. I think that as far as the different ways to identify a partner, and I know that the community is waiting for something about that to occur. So I think it's really important for the commission to maybe not vote on, but recommend some type of direction that we as staff can take, whether it be, I know with an RFP, it has to be very specific as far as I understand it. And are we, as far as some of the information that was presented here, how do you want us to proceed?
I see that Kabodi has a question.
Oh yeah. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. My question was, are you guys gonna put out basically like an application for organizations to apply to be the partner, or how are you guys gonna do that, and when are you planning to do that?
Well, I think that one of the things is how we want to get something, what we wanted to do is get something going this summer and have something in front of council, I think in October or so, Amy, was that the plan? And so we're also wanting to see what happens with the mayor's meeting in September, because that's a new development that we could really take advantage of. I think one of the things is, how do we move this forward and still identify a partner?
Ms. Caboti, did that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
think that when we talk about putting something out into the public, it would be open to everybody. It will be open for anyone to apply to be that partner with the city.
And just to follow up with that statement, Rose, so when the city is ready to open it up for people, for organizations to apply, how does that get out? And what is the reach? Is that a nationwide search, or go ahead? Amy.
I'll help answer that, Councilmember Matthews. So with any formal procurement process, doesn't matter what type, with the city of Flagstaff, so it's an open solicitation to any organization that may, that they're welcome to propose, depending on the type of procurement, they're welcome to propose on it, provide a proposal by the deadline date. There would be an evaluation committee or group that would evaluate these proposals. We're 100% uncertain what the criteria within these procurements will include. We have not yet discussed, does it include nonprofit organizations only, profit organizations only, or open to both? I mean, there's so many factors that we haven't had a chance to talk through with the city manager's office that we're anxious to, honestly, next week. And then we can do direct solicitation once procurement and legal have created the actual procurement document. So kind of to Meg's question, is there an application associated? There's a response, there's a proposal response to whatever it is the city of Flagstaff is soliciting for. And so we can definitely direct solicit groups, organizations that we know of, that we are confident that would probably meet those needs of whatever the bid solicitation is asking of. It will also be online. The City of Flagstaff Procurement Department uses a online procurement portal for almost all of their bid types. And so there's that opportunity too. But again, with the factor that we can direct solicit organizations that we think may be interested, that is, I think, the biggest and best way that Rose will be able to get this out once it's available.
I got a question real quick. I know we're short on time. Looks like we're probably over time, but is there an outline that we can see, like from here, like the other steps that would be leading up to, getting some plans at least drawn, like within this budget of the 200,000, like, or whatever an outline could be that we could see on paper, that all of us could see, okay, we did, this is done, now this, now this, now this, that there's an outline of the process?
I think that would be a great idea, Commissioner Lance, because I'm also a very visual person, so that helps me see it from start to end kind of thing, or beginning to finish. So that's something I think Rose is probably taking note of that right now. And that's something, again, once we know further details, that will help us create that timeline, if you will, including some of those larger milestones that we need to ensure that are accomplished. And there might be multiple timelines, quite honestly. Do we have a timeline to just have some solicitations and procurements out there to find the interested and or invested partner on this? And then is there a timeline for construction drawings to be created? So those are also, I think, great topics for this commission to discuss and advocate and agree upon for such an important building like this, without a doubt.
Great, thank you. All right. I guess we should move on to the general business. There's we're past our time right now, as far as I know. So general business item C. Selection panel for the 2025-26 multicultural park sculpture exhibition. Yes.
Let me go back a little bit first before you close out that last session. So I think that if you can help Amy and Rebecca with some type of recommendation, are you for the group, for the commissioners, are you okay with supporting input in the 200,000? Is that your recommendation? Or are you recommending something moving forward with some sort of procurement process that could be, that could provide flexibility for the staff to proceed with?
Yes, I mean, definitely, I'd like to be involved in that process.
Providing that recommendation, yes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's two things on the table, and I guess that's what we're trying to make sure is that we're clear from the commission if you are, which one you're recommending.
Guess it would be to be involved in that process of that timeline, and probably the budget of this $200,000. Is that what? That's what I'm thinking. I'm sorry if I'm not being clear on there. I know the couple different ways you're proposing. I wasn't really clear on that, but would like to be involved in that process.
Okay, Amy, do you need some sort of recommendation as far as direction is concerned on the way to proceed with finding a partner? Do you need anything, or do we just need to just say, these are some of the ways that we're exploring on moving forward?
I think that we just leave it at, these are some of the ways that we are exploring, because honestly, that's procurement and city manager's office decision on that, on how the procurement process will proceed with it for an interested and invested party. And we can always talk about it next time, because I do think it would be great, but the commission should discuss it if they would like any advocacy on how the $200,000 is spent that PROS has been able to provide for the for unknown on the project.
All right, thank you, Amy. I appreciate the clarification on that. And I think that's really important for all our commissioners to know about. And as far as for the rest of our agenda, co-chair Lance, if you're willing to, maybe we can just table this for right now. And I can work through email to see what people are willing to do with being able to volunteer for the multicultural sculpture exhibition selection panel, and then also seeing who would be involved in the Indigenous Code Talkers Day as well as the Indigenous Peoples Day. And maybe they can just send me an email saying that they're willing to help with the planning of those.
Okay, yeah, of course. Let's do that.
Okay, and then if you're okay with it, you can adjourn the meeting.
All right, yes, ma'am. Like to adjourn the meeting today.
And it is 1:09. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.